me to get off on a tangent and then be like, how did we get here?
We got time for tangents today.
I know. But let's just talk about real quick the Cromford Market Index going from that high point to this balance point. It started off when the mortgage rates went from 3.1 right at 4.4% is when we started to see the crack. Okay.
So when Fed rate, the mortgage rates went from 3.1 to 4.4, that's when we started seeing like, okay, there's something going on here.
Right after 4.4%, we started to see a crack in our demand where we should have been going up seasonally. We started to go flat.
Right.
So at that 4.4 to 5.0, that's when we started to see a curve. Okay. And then we hung out in the low fives for a while, but then the emotions around that mortgage rate was like, this is ridiculous. We're never going to survive at 5%. Right. Yeah. But then it boomed like right in June. Remember, it bolted from 5.1 to almost 6% in a matter of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That is when we saw a massive drop off, almost 30% drop off in contract activity, right? But then it started to come back down to 5%. And when it went back down to 5 in August, and this is important because
for like just like a week or for like a few weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks, it was at 5%. All of a sudden, we saw a boost in demand. Like we saw the contract activity jumped up like 25% from the bottoming out where we were on 4th of July weekend, frankly. So we saw that boost and that gave us this hope like, okay, we can handle 5%. 5%'s fine. 6%'s too high, but 5% we can work with this. We're doing the 2-1 buy downs. We were doing all of these, sellers were starting to give concessions and it was working, right? And we got this hope. And then in another month, it went from 5 points to 6 points, and then it popped down a little bit, and then it boinged right back up to 7 with all of this within a matter of 2 weeks. And what happened is we went from hope to despair, right? Because then at the 7%, our contract activity has now dropped off another 24%.
Yep.
We're now hitting low points that we haven't seen since 2008. Now all of the despair headlines are coming. And so on our emotional side of things, the sellers have hit a level of despair. And in some cases, some of our industry has reached despair as well. Yeah, some, because they're like, oh, I'm not going to sell a home in 4 days or even 30 days now. So as things shift, marketing, everything changes. This is where we've often stated that true professionals are made in markets like this.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, sometimes we work a little and we make a lot, and sometimes we work a lot and make a little. And we're kind of heading into that latter stage right now. But at this stage, what happened is at that 5%, and this is important, we got that boost of activity, and then we had legs on it in our demand line because at first they're in the pipeline waiting to close, and then they actually close. So now we're coming into the stage where we weren't replacing those deals. We're going down after that. So now we're not going to have as many in escrow. We're not going to have as many close going forward. So our demand information is going to shrink. And that's why at this stage we're gliding down. We're not plummeting, but we are gliding into more of a buyer's advantage.
Sure. And
it is possible that if these rates stay at where they are, we are going to continue to glide into potentially a weak buyer market, not a 2007 type buyer market, but like definitely leaning towards buyers. And this is really where the opportunities lie for buyers. And they may not feel that way, but if anything has happened,